environment, which you manage at LCS, or using the BHD, which is the virtual machine disk. And well, right now there are some. It's also becoming more common to start using the unified developer experience environments, which are the ones that live on PPAC. But up until now, I'd say that the most common was using cloud-hosted environments or the local BHC. And regarding ALM, well, what comes next is my assumption. So I would say there is a heavy TFVC use. I don't know. I don't have numbers, but from what I've seen, most of the companies or customers or even partners are using TFVC. But I also know that some of them are starting to use Git, and another group have been using it for quite a few times already. And regarding the pipelines, we've got a complete build pipeline which runs all the building code, and then we have a partial release automation. I say partial because it's not possible to automatically deploy the changes to the production environment. So as many of you will know, if you want to promote changes to production, you first need to move them into a sandbox environment. And then once it's in the sandbox environment, which can be done using release pipelines, somebody needs to log into LCS and start clicking buttons to schedule the production production deployment. So what is going to change? Sorry, we'll put this out here. So we will see something that I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, have already seen. So, and it's this image here. So first, we will start saying goodbye to LCS. This is taking long, but I guess there are important reasons for it to take so long. So LCS will be replaced by Power Platform Admin Center, PPAC. And the other change that we have already seen, thanks to the development environments on PPAC, is that finance and operations apps have become a Dataverse application. So we will see this later. Now you can deploy a Dataverse environment and install the finance or supply chain or HR or project operations app in Dataverse. This is the first change. There is something else that's quite important, and it's that we are moving from a slot-based capacity model, which means that on LCS, when you buy the 20 base licenses for FNO, you get one production slot, one sandbox slot, and that's all. And now in PPAC, we are moving to a capacity-based model. So depending on the number of licenses you have a specific amount of gigabytes or capacity on Dataverse. And based on that, you will be able to deploy an unknown number of environments. Unknown because it depends on capacity and the content of the environment. But we won't be limited to having one production environment or one sandbox environment. This will be quite interesting to see. So in the licensing guide, it says that by default, we got 60 gigabytes of database capacity plus 10 gigabytes of Dataverse capacity. We need to differentiate between both. So even if we are deploying the environments, the FNO environments on PPAC, FNO environments are still consuming FNO capacity. We will also see this later. Then for additional users, we got for each user 4 extra gigabytes of FNO DB plus 250 megabytes of Dataverse capacity. And all of these values of this capacity is at tenant level. And well, this sentence here, I left it because to me it was slightly funny, but now it's not true anymore. So when we were getting the first UD environments, this was the truth because it was not possible to save some capacity for a specific some environments. But now it's possible to say for this DAF01 environment, please assign 5 gigabytes of Dataverse capacity because at least for the tenant level, I'm talking about Dataverse capacity, which is here. And I will show you this later also. So you can define a specific allocation. You can allocate specifically for an environment 5, 10, whatever you want, gigabytes for data capacity. And this transition to capacity-based model also comes with another thing, which is license enforcement. Yay! Which will be, I hope, it will be mandatory on the 1st of September this year. This has been delayed, I think, already 2 times. But in September, if the user you are using to log into FNO does not have a license, it won't be able to access the instance. Which makes sense because if you don't have a Power Automate license, you cannot go into Power Automate. And same for CRM. It just makes sense. We are just late to the party, if somebody can think that this is a party. Next, regarding environment management. So right now we are on LCS, but in the future we will manage environments on Power Platform Admin Center, which is what PPAC stands for. We will also be able to manage environments using Power Platform CLI, which is it's a command line that allows us to create manage Dataverse environments, but it's not possible to use PAC CLI, which is also the name of Power Platform CLI, to deploy a finance and operations environment. And this is because when you deploy, if you have already deployed a UD environment, you probably know that you need to install a solution, and in that solution, you need to select some values. And this is the reason. So, because there's no way, at least in May, there was no way. As far as I know, it's still there is no way to do this. There is no way to apply the solution for a VANO without an interactive session, which means you clicking on the screen. But hopefully we have PowerShell. So we have this PowerShell administration for Power Apps. And with this one, we can deploy a FNO environment. In fact, it was the first way we had to deploy UD environments on Dataverse. So let's take a look to the unified admin experience. And well, good, I have several environments. So if you've never seen, I will make this a bit bigger because otherwise, if you've never seen PPAC before, this is how it looks like now. This is the new admin center, and I think that in the coming weeks it will be the default view, and it won't be possible to go to the old version. So it was the purple one. So probably you've seen this. But in September the 4th, it will be mandatory to go into the new version. So I'm going into the new version. And what do we have here? So first of all, if we go to the Manage tab, we will see the environments we have. In my case, well, first, in Dataverse, there's always a default environment. This environment is there for Microsoft things. Probably it's not just for Microsoft things. but I will say it like that. Don't use it. Don't create flows in this environment or solutions. Don't do nothing because it doesn't have a data loss policy. Yeah, the data loss prevention policy, and there are no backups for this. It's just there to be there. Don't use it. So here you can see that I have three environments, and even if it says sandbox, these are unified developer environments. In Dataverse, things are a bit different. So if I create a new one, just let me show that. Okay, let's try again. Yeah, if I create a new one, you will see on the type that I can select several types. And even if there is a developer type of environment, that doesn't mean that it's what we know as a developer environment on FNO. So for us, it will always be a sandbox environment for the developer things. So let me quickly show you how quick it is to so let me now to deploy an environment. So I will have this. Okay, so it's type sandbox, and then I will add Dataverse data store. Without this, it's not possible to install the Dynamics 365 applications. So we need to click next. I need to select security group, but none for this. One thing that's interesting, when you create a new environment, regardless of the name you give it, if you click here, you can just set it, because otherwise it's possible that you will get one of these org plus a lot of numbers and letters environment names. And for CRM, you can change it. But once you've deployed you an FNO environment, once you've applied the FNO solutions to install FNO in this environment, the FNO URL is not possible to change. So I will save this, and I need to select also these Dynamics 365 apps. And let me show you this. So here we can select which jobs to deploy. And you can see that we have the finance, supply chain, project operations, and oops, I don't have HR, but no problem. So if you've tried to do this and you don't see any of the ERP applications here, it's because you don't have a license assigned. To be able to see this, you need a license on your user. So if you want to deploy a unified development environment, for example, you should you don't have to select any of this. So you just need to click here on none. If you want to use it as a sandbox environment or testing or whatever, you can select it here and that's okay. But for development, you need to skip deploying any apps here. I will save it, and this creates the deploys environment quite fast. In a matter of less than a minute, it should be. Yeah, here it is. So if now we go to Dynamics 365 apps and click this install button, once it loads, I will scroll down, and so to create a developer environment here, you need two solutions. First is the platform tools, which you need to install. And the next one, so usually when you do this, you wait until the platform tools are installed, but I just want to show how the provisioning app for FNO looks. So this is the second solution that we need to install, the Dynamics 365 Finance Object Provisioning app. And let's see if this works. Yeah, as I said, it needs somebody clicking, and as you can see, I need to click. And here we should get, I cross my fingers. Yeah, okay. So maybe I need to just wait for the other solution to be installed. Instead, I will do something else to show you. Yeah. I will just try to apply the provisioning up from here and see if I can show you how updating an environment is. Yeah. Okay. So you've seen that some messages appear, but now they're gone. So usually when you deploy a new environment and you have the platform tools installed, when you install the provisioning app, you get to select the version of the product, which should be here. I'm also missing some parameters. Okay, let me go back to the learning our environment, and otherwise I will show in 5 minutes once the platform tools are installed, because I have other things to show also. Provisioning. Let's try again. Okay, I'll come back to this in a few minutes. So as I said, we are going to capacity-based model. And how do you know which capacity you have? So on PPAC, we have this licensing tab. And if you go into finance and operations first, you will see user licenses to the consumption, which, well, as you can imagine, I don't have many, but this will be interesting in a few weeks, where you see which users don't have a license. Also on Dataverse side, you can see how many capacity you're left for Dataverse. Then you can have a graph of what each environment is taking. But sorry, if I go back to FNO, oh, sorry, wrong place. If I go to capacity add-ons and select this finance and operations tab, here you also see how much FNO database is taking each environment. And this is like what we had in the past in LCS to check which tables were consuming the most. If I click here, it just opens a list of the top tables. So by order by size. So, these are just contours of environments, and as you can imagine, they don't have many things. Also in the summary tab, if I don't need to scroll down, you have here two different sections. First, what's related to Dataverse. So this is related to Dataverse, and this is related to FNO. And as you can see, well, you have also here a summary of your capacity. And well, I'm not over capacity. I don't have many environments, so this is why I don't have these problems right now. And also, if I go to manage Dataverse, no, sorry, wrong place again. If I go to licensing and environments and select environment, first, you can see that this is all related to Power Apps. And I was just checking, I forgot where it is. Oh yeah, sorry. So it's in the Dataverse tab. In licensing, we have this Manage Capacity button. And if you click here, you can see all your environments, including the default, but forget about this one. And for example, so in order to not have to avoid your CRM or Dataverse teams to get all your database capacity thanks to the FNO licenses, you can say, okay, for this environment, allocate, I don't know, 10 gigabytes. I don't have so much. So, and, 10 gigabytes, it's in megabytes. Oh, okay. So by doing this, 10 gigabytes of capacity from Dataverse would be allocated exclusively for this environment. Um, I, usually when you work within a team, people talk between themselves and reach agreements, and we will get to agreements. I don't think, well, this may be useful if you know that you need some capacity for an environment, but it's more important so you don't run out of Dataverse capacity, because F1 environments also need Dataverse capacity. But just talk to the other team and agree on how much environment, how much storage you have. And let me check again. How is this going? It's just, it's installed. Oh, my sake. And now, if I go here, I should. On cross, yeah, okay. So this is how the provisioning app looks like. And well, if you're deploying a developer environment, you need this. And if you want Contoso demo data, you need this. If you forgot to select the application when creating the environment and you just want a sandbox environment, not for developers, you can just select demo data and that's all. And once you have selected this, you select the version of the product. And here you can see that we have, what is displayed here is the following. We have the last 3 versions, so the one that is GA and the previous 2 ones. And for each one of them, this is the latest or the last proactive quality update, PQU, that is available. And we don't have an opportunity to install any other version. So what I will do is just select the version, agree, and click install. I won't do it because I don't need another environment, but it's this easy. And it takes around 1 hour and a half, maybe 1 hour and 45 minutes, depending on the day, to get F&O into the environment. And once you get F&O, the F&O provisioning app installed, you will see in the environment, so this environment already has financial operations, you will see the URL here. And it's interesting because if you look closely, wrong button, you will see that the URL is the same as, or has the same structure as a production environment. So in LCS, when you deploy a sandbox environment, you get the environment name dot your region dot sandbox dot operations dot dynamics.com, and production environment is environment name dot operations dot dynamics.com, which is exactly what we have here. Oh. And well, you can see that it's a working F&O environment. Let me check my cheat sheet. Yeah. What else can we do on PPAC? So once you have your environments here, you will manage them similarly to what we did in LCS. You can delete an environment and you can copy an environment. So usually when you want to copy an environment, so when we get to the point that we have production environments on PPAC, you can just copy a production environment into your UD environment just by doing this. You will select everything. You will select, this is important because transactionless copy means that the tables that have a table group like a transaction or a worksheet header or transaction header and line, these tables won't be copied if this is disabled. And you can see that it's disabled by default. It's a bit, the UI here is a bit misleading because it looks like you're enabling transaction as copy, and yeah, that's what you are doing. But for me, it should be the other way, but that's just some preference. And finally, you select to which environment you want to copy, and it copies everything to that environment. It's a bit faster than restoring production into Sandbox, creating a backpack file in Sandbox, waiting until it's done, downloading it from RCS, restoring it to a developer environment or cloud-hosted developer environment. This will be a bit faster because we are just going from production into development. And well, that's all I wanted to show, I think. Yeah, for the admin experience. Now, let me go back to the slides and yeah, change the presenter. Okay, so next is what is going to change regarding the unified developer experience, or yeah, what has already changed. So for UD, we have the new experience. We have local development, and those quotes are there for a reason. Using it is much easier now. What will happen with cloud-hosted environments on PhD and pipelines, which we can use with PackCLI or PowerShell, and we can use pipelines to deploy to production, which will also be interesting. So let me go through all these points. And first, we have local development. And why these quotes? I will get to that. So local development, it's been a long way. The first time I saw this local thing was in 2019 at a Microsoft conference, and it was totally different. So back then, they were trying to use, they wanted to use containers to have just parts of the AOS and everything on your local machine. But then some licensing changes for Docker, which is the container service, that impacted in the roadmap. Local development. We have Visual Studio on our local PCs, not on a virtual machine. We have a copy of the package's local directory. This means all the metadata. We are using the F1O Visual Studio extension, and we have local DB, so SQL Server local DB for the cross-references DB. And why local? Because it needs a database environment with the developer tools. So, well, you can do all the development you want and compile and check for errors and everything in your local PC. But the moment you want to test something or debug, if you don't have access to the database environment, that's all you can do. Just write code and build it. And this is why it's local. Well, there's some improvements. So since this was released as a preview, the process has improved a lot. Also, the time to deploy changes to an environment on Dataverse has improved a ton. It has improved a lot. Really. That's really much better than in the past. But what? If you try it in the future, you will see that sometimes you say, oh, I want my closest environment back. But for my personal projects and things, I always use a UD environment because it's very convenient for me. So then in the end, it also depends on the needs of your team. And well, just let's see a unified developer experience demo. And hopefully it will be working because, yes, just before the session, I was already connected and I was deploying code, and well, it was taking too long, and I was a bit scared of the demo effect. So, well, this is my local PC. This is my Visual Studio instance that's on my PC. And, well, for example, so once you have deployed a development environment, to set all of this up, you just need to go to Tools. Well, you need an extension first, which is this one, Power Platform Tools for Visual Studio 2022. And once you have this installed, you just go to, well, I'm already connected, so here it shows reconnect. But if you're not connected, it shows connect to Dataverse. And once you do this, it will show you, we will see it later when I deploy the code. It will show you a environment selector. You connect to that environment, and it will download a zip file with packages local directory, a back file with the cross-reference database. And it will download it on your PC. It will extract everything. All of these things are, and in here, let me show you. Oh my person. So all of this is downloaded here, and for each metadata version, you get a different folder with the version and a different configuration. All of this is done automatically behind the scenes. First versions, you had to do this manually. Now it's automatic. It's also very convenient. So congratulations to whoever automated this, because now it's really easy. And once everything is installed, what you get on the extension is this configure metadata option, which shows, in my case, it shows different environment names. But in the end, this should show version numbers. So for me, so this is the one that's enabled now, that's active. And somewhere I should have the version number. Yeah, here I have a new application version. If you connect to several environments on the same version, it won't download the same FNO version of metadata over and over, and you won't have different configurations for different customers on the same version. You will only have one, and then you can connect to different environments on that version. But good thing is now we can change between versions quite easily. It's it. Yeah. So once we are connected, we do all the development we want, and I will just modify this code. So I can show that I did it now, not I prepared and it's already there. And when you modify code in your environment and you want to deploy it to the Dataverse, you need to build it. It's not, if you save it, the changes won't be uploaded to Dataverse. So you need to build a solution, because this will refresh the DLL that's generated, and that's the DLL. It's the thing that gets uploaded to the environment. I will also show something interesting. And once we have done all the changes, we go to the Dynamics 365 extension and select deploy models to online environment, which is the first option. And I will do this. And what we see here is a list with all the environments. And I don't know how to scroll with Zoom it, sorry. And I will scroll down. I'm in the Ariste Info ILM model, and I will select deploy. If I had any changes to the data model, this means adding fields to tables, for example, I should also select this second checkbox, which runs a database sync. But it takes long, so I just will show with this. I will just deploy the code. And if I click deploy, oh, I'm connected, and I guess it won't ask me for its credentials. Okay. I will show it after this is deployed. So as a curiosity, to deploy this to Dataverse, what Visual Studio does in the back is create a managed solution, a Dataverse managed solution containing your code. So it gets the DLL, and with the DLL, it generates a managed zip file. This is possible to see later in the pipelines, and we will see. And what? Here it's just uploading the package to, no, let me make this a little bit bigger, uploading the package to FNO, to the Dataverse, sorry, and you can see that it's uploading a payload, and once it's uploaded, triggers the package deployment. And if I scroll down, you will see that, yeah, so you can see here package deployment still in progress. So these 3 lines means here it was deploying the managed solution, and here it has starting the services on the environment. So it's already trying to put the environment back onto a working status. If I try to go to the environment now and reload it, I should get a server error, hopefully. It would be the first time that I do it. Yeah. So I got a 504, and I also hope it will start the services faster than last time, because on the, oh, it failed. This is why it took so long. Okay, so let me try to deploy this to a different environment, and then we can see how to connect to an environment. I will say reconnect to Dataverse. Don't use this one because it looks like it's in a broken state. And I select display list of available organizations. I could also tell it to sign in as current user, but my user on Visual Studio is different than the one that I have on Dataverse. So I unselect that, and now I will sign it into my account, and I get this list of environments. I select to which one I want to connect. And now it connects, and it will ask for into which solution I want to deploy these changes. Like the environments, there is a default solution. Don't use that. It's not that these deployments are important. Just don't use it. You will see when the dialog opens that I will get 2 different solutions, the default one and one called CR and some numbers, which is also, it comes by default with the funnel environments. And here it is. I select this one. And so if you want to see the status of all these operations, they show in this FinOps Cloud Runtime output log. And now Visual Studio is not responding because it's trying to connect there. Okay, not yet. Meanwhile, I will open the other environment. Okay. So come on, Visual Studio. So another thing that Visual Studio does when it connects to when you change the environment, the database environment you're connected to, is check if you have the assets. So that means the packages local directory and cross-reference database for that version. So yeah, you can see it here. So it says early the path exists. It means that it has found the version for the folder for this version, and it doesn't have to download. And let me try to deploy to this environment. Yeah, this one. And hopefully this one won't fail. Now I have two operations running, one for the failed environment and one for the, I hope, that correct environment. I've seen something strange around here regarding paths. Okay, need to check that. Well, now you can see that this starting services is from the failed environment. Now I just need to wait until it finishes, and well, I hope that I can show you that this really went into the database environment. Otherwise, well, you will have to trust me. Okay, so I can do something while this loads. I will go into Azure DevOps while this is loading, and will show you something related to pipelines. And I hope that I can really show you the class running on the unified environment. So when you want to deploy packets into a UDE environment, or let's say a sandbox environment that's on PPAC, and by sandbox I mean what we understand from on LCS. So um, a, a testing environment, so a UAT environment, for example. What you can do is you generate the build as you have always done, but well, one of the benefits of using Git on your projects is that you get YAML pipelines. YAML pipelines, because of the extension, so are a bit different than the ones that we are used to with TFVC, which are you have a more human-friendly interface. But well, this has some good things, and one of them is, for example, that with YAML pipelines, you have the pipelines as code. So I can have my pipeline definitions here, and if I make any changes, who changed this on the pipeline, who changed that, I will have it on DevOps. And it's not that hard. There is a common part for all of them, but for example, once you get into the meaningful or the important steps, you can click this settings link, and then you see things here. And what I wanted to show you for the build pipeline is this. On the create deployable packages tab, we have this new option for the create deployable package task. So we have this new option. If we select this, we can still select the create LCS deployable package, which will create the zip file that we are used to, and this will create a different type of package. And I think I can show you, yeah, on the published artifacts. For this one, I only have the, yeah. So this DLL plus the package assets is what we need to deploy on a UAT sandbox environment in PPAC. And this is not a software deployable package. This is something a bit different. This is a managed solution for a Dataverse environment. This is one of the small changes we have for pipelines. In this case, for build pipelines, all the rest is exactly the same. And this is what leads us to having, oh, it's failed, but so this is already quite old, but with that managed solution package, what we can do is this. We deploy to UAT using the Power Platform tools. If you remember, on classic or not classic, on the TFVC release pipelines for F&O, we were using the finance and operations tools in Azure DevOps. Now we are using Power Platform tools because we are installing a Dataverse solution, CRM solution. And here, another pretty interesting thing that I think will make many people happy is we are deploying a package, which is a solution, to our F&O environment. And we can use service principles, which means that if you remember for LCS, we need to create the service connection to LCS, we need a username and password. And that user cannot have multi-factor authentication in it. And probably that gives a lot of headaches to IT teams because they don't understand why don't you want MFA on your user. We need to have MFA because it's for security purposes and it's true. So good thing is that for the Power Platform tools, we can have a service principal, which means an app registration ID, an entry ID, plus a secret. And with that, we can create the service connection to our Dataverse environment, which has F&O, and deploy. And this is great. And which is also great. It's even here it shows that it failed. I think it failed because it timed out probably. You can deploy to production because on Dataverse there is no limitation to deploy to production directly, even skipping sandbox. But don't do that, please. When the time comes and we are able to deploy to production, you need to sit with your team and define a strategy to deploy to production. Can you deploy from dev to prod in just one step? Yes, but don't do that. For example, what I do is I have one UAT step which deploys to UAT, and maybe somebody will do some testing. Once the testing is back, I have a pre-deployment condition here, which asks for approvers. And obviously it's my tenant, so it's only me, but I have two approvers with two different emails. How many steps can you have here? As many as you want. Just remember that the processes for validation, not code, but for the business processes validation. If you modify something, you need to test it. We are doing that on LCS. Somebody is testing on UAT, and then it gets approved and promoted to pre-production and production. So you should still do that. Don't deploy to production directly. Don't skip testing. I guess that it sounds like that's common sense, but I think it's as Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So being able to deploy code directly to production, it's great responsibility, and it shouldn't be done. And let's go back to Visual Studio and see if something finished. Looks like for the other environment it worked. So yes, this is mine, and this. Hello, I think it was. So as you can see, some benefits is that maybe you are developing faster or locally, but then you need to deploy. And well, you've seen that it takes some time. It's not that long, maybe depending on the amount of code that needs to go into the cloud, because it's in the end it's the cloud, it will take more or less time. But if you need to debug and I need to change this, you need to change that, compile, build, deploy, debug again. So it takes a bit more of time. And because it's so I hadn't used this environment today, so it's a bit slow. It's still caching things, but I should get there. Yes. Hello, learning hour. Nice to be here. Which at least worked. Good thing about this environment is that once they are corrupted, like mine looks like it is, just delete it and deploy another. And I think that's all I wanted to show. Let me swap this. Next, what can you do? Get hands-on with PPAC, start playing with it, review your RCS environments, and I didn't put it here, but on licenses, get someone on your team to try all of this, especially the administration part, I suggest. This one will be a bit hard, but if you can, try joining the YAML feedback groups. In the past, in experience.dynamics.com, it used to be a way of joining. Now it's not, and I'm not sure how someone should join the YAML feedback groups. And finally, I have some helpful links here, which I will paste the URL on the chat, so it's easier to get. And here are links to documentation and resources, and it's okay. And finally, thanks for attending. Thanks again, Ramit, for inviting me. And now, if we have time, I will be more than happy to answer any questions if I can. And I'm pasting the link here.
Thank you so much, Adrià.
Thanks.
So I think we have some hand raised, so probably we can start one by one from maybe logo we can start.
Yeah, thank you, Adrià and Paul, for this meeting. Very interesting. I have a couple of questions. First of all, in every project that I'm working on, we have not Git, but Team Foundation. A tool to migrate, it will be possible to have in the future, or?
Migrate the TFVC to Git.
Yes.
I haven't tried that. I know there is a tool, but I think that it provides somehow a soft migration, because I don't know if it migrates, for example, the history of the change sets for TFVC into Git. And
okay.
That's quite important,
okay.
Yes.
And
but there is a tool.
The transition between the old model and the capacity model, when it will be done 100%, because it's not clear from the customers.
Yeah. So I guess that it's related to the licensing changes. So on 1st of September, so at least once new customers are on Dataverse, on PPAC, sorry, for them it will apply the capacity-based model. But if they are on LCS, they are on LCS. They will have the licensing constraints and they need licenses, but they are still working with the slots.
Yeah,
But
and
for me, the changing point will be moving into PPAC.
okay. I saw usually during my work for every customer, I have a different user because the customer create me a proper user. And in Visual Studio, it's a problem.
No, in Visual Studio. In Visual
because
Studio, you will log into your account to unlock the license, but then to deploy to the environment on PPAC, you will need access to each PPAC environment for the customer. And I don't know because I haven't tried with different customers.
yeah,
But probably you will need if yours doesn't work, you will need a user from the customer and a license.
Yeah. And the last question for the new project, I have a new project that will start in October. What your suggestion? To use this approach or to be safe the old one? Because also the user, the PM ask to be more safe, okay? And don't wanna try usually. So I'm fighting sometimes. So what's your suggestion? It's mature this new methodology or?
For development it is. The problem for me is that it takes more time to do things because on the cloud-hosted environments you do code changes, you build, and yes, it takes some time to reload things on IIS, but it's faster than having to deploy it into a UD environment. But I mean, there are some improvements from Microsoft side, and it's getting faster and faster. But,
okay.
And then regarding LCS or PPAC, I think that depends on Microsoft. There's not, I guess that it will go live on LCS.
Okay.
If you want to still use cloud-hosted environments, it's okay.
Yeah, because
no
usually in my team I'm the responsible of technical part, so I choose some beta project, some projects are maybe more simple than the other to use this new strategy, and with the others we have continued with the LCS. So I don't know. We try. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Logo. I think Sahid has a call, has his hand raised.
Yes, thank you, team, for such an amazing session. So I have two questions. Like, do we have any LCS deprecation deadline by Microsoft? And the second thing is, does unified development environment support commerce or not yet? Thank you.
Good questions. So there's not an official timeline. I don't know if you've seen maybe on LinkedIn some screenshots from a conference in May where they were targeting October to start having some customers on PPAC, but I don't know if there's an official statement about that. And regarding commerce, it's, as far as I know, it's work in progress, and commerce is not supported yet on UD environments.
Sure. Thank you.
And yeah,
I think
Jacob, I see
we have
on the
one.
chat was asking about
Yeah.
problems to deploy preview environments in PPAC. I haven't been able to install the provisioning app on 10.045 either. I don't know what's the issue.
Yeah, correct. I think we are aware there is some issue. Luckily, I have some environment in LCS, so there was no issue from LCS, but I think there is a issue
Yeah.
in preview version from PPAC.
What I did in the end was I got an environment on LCS upgraded and copied into PPAC. It's not the most. It's
Okay.
not. It takes more time, but it was the only way I could find.
Yeah. I think we don't have any question, or probably if there is any question. Okay, I think there is one question from Logo. You can migrate TVFS to GET, but the history is limited to 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people will say that 6 months is enough, but so probably you can have then 2 projects alive on because on Azure DevOps project you can have different repositories. You could have the old TFVC repository for historic, and then the new one on Git.
It's exactly it. That's the approach that I did when I migrated in the past.
I think there's another question. I don't know if.
I think from Silva we have a question. Okay, I think don't have any question, then probably okay. We have another question, Adrià. I'm sorry for it. So I know this is over time, but still, maybe if you can help.
Yeah, it's okay. On the
What
chat,
is the-
what is the minimum database capacity needed? So for unified developer environments, you need to have a license, a FNO license, and then you need at least 1 gigabyte of Dataverse capacity to be able to deploy the environment. But after that, it consumes more capacity. So if maybe I can show that, because I will share my screen quickly again. If I go to my environments and see the capacity add-ons, so for example, you can see for these environments, it's taking, this is Dataverse capacity. So it's almost 5 gigabytes of Dataverse plus 3.3 of file storage. But if you don't have 1 gigabyte in Dataverse, you won't be able to deploy the environment, even if after that it takes more capacity. And regarding FNO, you see that it's 5.7. So this is Contoso data. It should be like this.